From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on the Noon News. I'm Andrea Lutz. The seasons are changing and so is the weather in Montana, but will it be enough to make up for that extraordinarily dry 2021? We'll have that story in a minute, but first. Across Montana, drivers are being advised to take some extra steps and protect themselves on these wet and icy roads. Here's today's leading look. Officials are reminding drivers to give themselves a little extra time and leave that extra distance between you and other vehicles on the road. The first Montana snowfall is a good reminder to drive slowly and defensively. And don't forget, pedestrians are also in this weather. Footing is a little bit more difficult for them as well. Power outages plagued northern Gallatin County as this heavy and wet snow fell. The power knocking down trees and branches. At Montana State University, they lost power and it delayed the start of classes. Meanwhile, Gallatin High School, they soldiered on, keeping students at school even though there was no power. Traffic lights in the downtown were also out. But our snowfall is beneficial to those fighting wildfires across the state. Fires reported in July burning near Wisdom and Wise River received significant snowfall, now putting some of those fires at 80% containment. Officials are dismantling the fire camp at Wisdom, and the Alder Creek fire is now 60% contained. A new climate change report says human-caused climate change is more widespread than previously thought, and it's getting worse. The study shows 85% of the world's population already living in areas experiencing human-caused climate change. Researchers found 80% of the world's land is already experiencing changes in temperature and precipitation. And in Texas, Governor Greg Abbott is saying no to COVID vaccine mandates. The governor issuing an executive order prohibiting businesses from enforcing any of those mandates. The announcement comes as the Biden administration works to issue new rules requiring companies with more than 100 employees to either be vaccinated or face weekly COVID tests. That's today's leading look.
Well, of course, the big story of the day is the snowfall, especially central parts of Montana over to the east, down in northern parts of Wyoming. Let me step out of the way here. These are some photos from earlier today. You can see the snow cover there. Bozeman Pass, I-90, Lame Deer, US 212. Also, Reynolds Pass near West Yellowstone and Bull Mountain Divide, US 87. That was a little earlier. We're still seeing the snow fall because of this area of low pressure down to the southeast of Wyoming. It is going to slowly pull away from the area. What does that mean for us? And do we possibly see a bit of a warm up as we head towards the weekend? I'll let you know with a full forecast coming up here in just a few minutes.
I'm Dennis Bragg on Lolo Creek. The seasons are changing and so is the weather in western Montana. But will it be enough to make up for an extraordinarily dry 2021? I put that question to Ray Nicholas, the hydrologist with the National Weather Service office in Missoula.
How long is it going to take for things to recover, especially with our water supplies?
Yeah, it's going to take a real, a good wet winter, good snowpacks in the mountains, and that type of a comeback. And like I said, you got to make up, like say in Butte, you got to make up 5 inches of precip to get back to the normal range.
The latest maps show the difference from last fall, with the reds of extreme and exceptional drought covering much of the state.
In southwest Montana, we're in the extreme level. You can't go any worse than that. And there's sections of eastern Montana that are also in that extreme drought.
Not surprising considering the record-setting year of early hot, dry weather. With Nicholas's long experience, I wondered what he'd remember most about 2021.
How hot the weather's getting, and then also just the way we seem to be continuously every summer losing precipitation. We just don't seem to get a lot of precipitation in the summer months. And then the lack of, in eastern Montana, the lack of moisture throughout the entire year.
Relief is coming with a La Nina weather pattern already starting far out in the Pacific.
We do see that occurring right now, and that does have some good correlations for precipitation, especially in western Montana.
La Nina winters are wet, but they don't come with a guarantee.
You can have some really impressive winters where you get a good snowpack even in the low elevations across all of Montana in these La Nina years, but it's not as certain as maybe western Montana, where we do have better correlations with especially the snowpack. Yeah. The problem we could run into is we could get a nice, a bountiful moisture winter, and then go into next spring, and then if the water tap shuts off again, it's easy to go back into drought, right? I mean, if you go into the summer months and you don't get much precip, you get hotter temperatures, it's easy to jump right back into a drought. So it's a tough thing to break out of, for sure.
In Missoula, Dennis Bragg, MTN News.